Welcome to another edition of Capital Area Chats. I'm your host, Paul Brogan, and we're about all things in the greater Concord area, the people, the places, and the things that make us an exceptional place to live, to work, and to play. Today's show is very special for me because for the first time since the days before the pandemic, I have two guests with me today, and they're both remarkable individuals. I'll start with the lady, Katie Collins. Katie has been with us before, but it's great to have you back.
It's
Katie
great to be back.
Is the Development Director at the Capital Center for the Arts / Bank of New Hampshire Stage, and she wears many hats. Katie is an extraordinary actress, singer, comedian, dramatic. Well, I've seen you run the gamut, certainly. And so she brings a certain infectious good humor and magic to everything that she does, including her job.
Thank you.
Welcome again.
Thank
to the
you.
show.
It's great to be back.
And my next guest is a first-timer, but I'm sure he won't be, staying away in the future because Sal Prizio is the brand new Executive Director of the Capital Center for the Arts / Bank of New Hampshire Stage. And he brings a new energy and vitality with him from years of experience in the theater, including as a musician.
Yes.
And I want to welcome you to the show.
Thanks. Great to be here.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for making time in your schedule.
It's my pleasure.
And you've actually been here a few months now in town.
Yep, 4 months.
But this is your first time here. And so for many people, their first introduction to you. So I appreciate your making yourself available to come on.
It would be my pleasure.
Well, how do you like Concord so far?
I love it. I think it's fantastic. The community's been exceptionally welcoming to me. I love the vibrant arts that are happening here, and my kids are settling well, and my wife's having a great time here in the city, so It's been great.
Great. You were in Schenectady previously,
Schenectady,
right?
New York, home of GE.
I rehearsed that 5 or 6 times before I got here to say it correctly.
You did perfect.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I would talk in the mirror, the neighbor next door.
Conversely, I would say Concord.
Yes.
Before I got here.
Yes.
Not Concord,
No.
Concord.
Yes.
Concord.
Or Concord.
Yes.
Yeah,
Very
good job.
Concord.
Very good.
Yeah.
So,
See? Working on it, Want to make sure I ingratiate myself very nicely into the community.
and you're coming to a much smaller community from where you were, but Concord feels like it's a lot bigger than it actually is, I think, because of all that goes on.
Yeah, so maybe smaller in size, population-wise, but the vibrancy is the same here. And I feel, what everybody's been telling me here too is like, you should have seen this place 10 years ago versus now. So it's in the trajectory's going in the right way, and I'm excited to be a part of that trajectory. So
100%.
Well, certainly the Capital Center for the Arts is a gem in our community. I mean, it has been since the days of M.T. Menino. It was just, when she came in, there were so many naysayers that were saying, oh, you're not going to be able to make this work as a destination stop and as a real performing arts center. It's just not going to take. But it did. I mean, it really has been an evolution as far as the enthusiasm from the community, who didn't even realize that they wanted this before it was actually presented to them.
Yeah, I think one of the fascinating things about the Capitol Center, more so than a lot of other venues that I've either worked at or been associated with, is the buy-in from the community. It is such a community project here. And you see the personal ownership from so many of these people that will come up to me and say, painted that ceiling.
Right.
I got pulled off the street to paint that ceiling. But you don't hear about that at other places,
No.
right? It's usually some major capital investment or some investors that come in and build this project and that sort of thing. And this is very much, it's like that grassroots campaign that you hear with a lot of the politicians and things like that. It's a lot of people that gave their time and their money and their effort to make this thing happen. And I respect that, and I want to honor that tradition as we proceed into the future.
Well, Concord is really known for that kind of pulling together, because certainly Red River Theater is an example of that. And Hatbox.
And Hatbox.
I had Andrew on last month. and certainly the music school, and
Yes.
so many things.
Yes.
But the scale of the Capitol Center and the Bank of New Hampshire stage is just, there are very few cities of this size that can boast having two venues like that available to really cover every kind
Right.
of
Yeah.
music or entertainment, plays, and I see we have South Pacific coming soon.
Yep.
Yep.
I was in that in high school. I could burst into song now, but I will spare our listeners or viewers from turning off their sets. But it's a great show.
It is.
And it's on my list of possibly coming to see
Oh,
it.
good.
Except there's the danger of me sitting in the audience mouthing along.
Oh,
with
you
it.
won't be alone.
No,
You won't be
okay.
alone.
It's the kind of show
Yes.
that everybody knows.
Yeah.
Some of the songs from. But Katie,
Yes.
you have been with the Capitol Center now for 17
It's 17 years this summer. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, MT hired me, so I can, go back to the MT days. She and I were friends prior to me coming to work for her, and I'm sorry I didn't get to work with her longer before she left us. But I've had, I had a great boss in Nikki, and I've got a great new boss in Sal, and
Yes.
it's a great place to be.
Yes, exactly. What's obvious, I mean, when I met you at the theater a couple of weeks ago, your genuineness and almost childlike delight, and in recognizing
it's-
what you are suddenly in the middle of.
And you know what the great thing is too is like I have this exuberant enthusiasm for all these things that I want to do and all that sort of stuff. Not only is Katie a fantastic development person, and she literally knows 3/4 of the people in the state, but she's also institutional continuity for me. She'll say to me we can do this, but keep in mind that we have to keep this in mind. So it's great. She's able to kind of direct my enthusiasms into certain projects in really fantastic ways.
Oh,
But also keeping the structure of things in mind and how we can reinvent things too. So.
But it is, you brought up MT, and I think Sal is a great person to carry on MT's legacy, because she used to say, we're selling fun.
Yeah.
We're selling a good time.
Exactly.
Don't be so serious.
Yes.
It's a business,
Yes.
and there's serious work that we have to do to keep that business thriving. But at the end of the day, we're selling a really great experience.
Yeah.
And there's something really joyful about it when that's your product. Your product is somebody experiencing something,
Yes.
so magical. And so I think that's what you pick up on when you meet Sal, and that's certainly what we picked up on when we hired Sal. I was fortunate to be on the search committee, and so it's just, that's what you want in somebody running a performing arts center. So,
Exactly.
Yeah.
We make fun.
Yeah.
And it's a wonderful collaborative effort too, because
Yeah.
you have people. I mean, people like Lauren go back. Well, the first event
Yeah.
I did there was in 2002.
Yeah.
Patty Page.
Yeah.
And he was the
Right. Lauren has been there 25
ticket
years,
person, yeah.
and Steve Martin is close on his heels.
Yes. And they are just, and they still, you never get the impression with the staff that it's just a job, or I've been doing this so long I could do it with my eyes closed.
Right.
There's none of that.
No.
There's still embarking on an adventure with each.
It is, and every show is an adventure.
Yes,
And every
yes. Oh,
yeah.
every night in the lobby, and it's. I think Nikki and I talked to you about this once when we were on, but our audience. Over 80% of our audience come to one show a year. That's pretty standard in the industry. We're trying to change that. We're trying to get people back more often. But what that means is that the audience is almost entirely new every
Yes,
time.
each time.
And there are nights, Nikki and I would stand in the lobby, and I would think, I don't have enough time to get to everybody I know that I want to say hi to. And then there were nights we'd stand in the lobby, and I would go, I don't know a single person in this building.
Yeah.
But that is so that means that every show has its own flavor, its own feeling, how the lobby feels to what time the show started to to the time the audience leaves.
Yes.
And that does make it fun and very unpredictable sometimes.
But it also speaks to that point too that you got to treat each patron that comes to the door like it's their
Right.
first time there.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
And one of the things I keep hammering home to everybody all the time is how does this affect the patron experience? So we always are trying to think about We want them to be happy. We want their impressions of the place to be
To
great.
be
We want their
positive.
memories to be
Yes.
fantastic of the place, so that they come back.
People's
and support.
perceptions, are so interesting and they're so different. We did some focus groups some years ago, and there were people who were saying, "Oh, I come many times a year," and we'd look them up, and they would be here like once every 2 years.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
Yes.
their perception is always, "I was just there," and I'll say, "What were you here for?" And they'll name a show that we had in 2009.
Yes.
They go, "Okay, well, that's been a while,"
Yeah.
but they have a connection to the place, and the people that I work with, who are our closest donors, really have a connection. And I done some work with them on, what do you value? What are you looking for in terms of benefits for the generous gifts you're giving the
Yes.
theater? And to a person, I was convinced I was going to hear, we like getting free tickets, we like going to special parties, we like meeting Hal Holbrook, whatever it is.
Right.
To a person, they said, we like feeling like we belong, like we're part of the family. That's what they love. They love when they walk in the theater, in the lobby, they're going to see Sal, they're going to see me, they're going to see Lauren, they're going to be someone who knows their name.
Yes.
And says
Yes.
hello.
Yes.
And the ushers will know them if they come a lot, and the people at the concession stands know them. And that's I think, what sets us apart from a lot of theaters. I mean, we really
Right.
foster that sense of
Community.
Yeah.
And Concord does value that. I mean, that was the reason Teresa at the Concord Theater for 61 years, she knew her patrons.
Yep.
She knew some would come out and tell her off for what they just spent time watching. And it was the same with Cinema 93 with Barry Steelman.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Concord is very much invested.
Oh, yeah.
And generations have, it's rolled over in feeling that we want to know that it matters that we're here and that you recognize us, and we're not just, if you go to a place like the Regal Cinemas, every time you go, a different person sells you the
Right.
ticket, a different person is at concession. There's nothing personal.
Right.
You could be in any town or city.
Right.
But here in Concord, people like that sense of belonging and a connection, and that's what you have all done so well, and all those before you did so well too, in making it an evening out and something that feels wonderful. And even if what you go see isn't the greatest thing in the world, you're still happy for having been there.
Yeah.
Right. And generationally, we have a school series which up until the pandemic was thriving, and it's been on hold for a
Yes.
couple of years. But we hear anecdotally all the time, I came to my first show with my third grade class. Now I'm bringing my kids. I came in fourth grade. I'd never been to the theater before. Now I go all the time. So that's exactly what we wanted. We want to instill that love of live performance
Yes.
in young people
Yes.
so that they'll continue to patronize it.
And it's such a crucial time to do it.
It
when
is.
they're
Yeah.
forming those early memories of their life. And you want to build them up from the educational part into being a patron, and then supporting you later on and all that sort of stuff. So, one of the conversations we're always having is how can we rebuild and reinforce the education series, because it's so critical to what we do.
Yeah.
Oh, it is, because if you don't learn young,
Right.
you're never going to have an appreciation
Never.
for
Right.
the various offerings and things.
One
and
of our trustees has 2 young grandchildren, and he's brought them, to many shows. And the older one, who's not very old, I think she's maybe 5, told the little one, who's about 3, when you go, it's TV, but they're right there, and you can see them, and they're real, and they get it, and it's the excitement is fantastic. It's
oh,
one
the
of my
energy
favorite
of
things.
a live, no
Yeah.
matter what it is, dance or
Yeah.
stand up or anything else, the energy of that in-person experience is just
Right, and that's the role the audience plays, because that's the crucial component. The performance is nothing without the energy from that audience.
true,
Yeah.
true. Wow. So, have you noticed so far any difference between Concord audience compared to, say, in Schenectady or elsewhere where you?
I would say one of the things I do notice is people, again, it goes back to the community support of the building itself or the organization itself. Some of the bigger markets you go to, it's a little bit more transactional, right? I mean, there's people, there are your hardcore people that love
Right.
and support the organizations, but here it feels much more of that grassroots kind of support of the place. And it feels like there's some inherent trust there. And I take that responsibility very seriously. Katie and I always have conversations about how do we honor the past while looking towards the future?
Right.
How do we
Yes.
keep it personal? How do we
Yes.
keep it human and look towards what is the next things that a performing arts center can provide to its community?
I will tell you, during the pandemic,
Yes.
when we were shut down, especially in those really scary first, 6 to 7 months
Yes.
before we knew there'd be any federal help coming, and we really weren't sure what was going to happen. What really truly kept us going was we would get gifts, we would get donations from our patrons. That was fantastic. But what the difference was, almost to a one, everyone came with a note of some kind that said, hang in there, we miss you, we believe in you, you got this, we're with you, we'll be here when you come back. And we had a bulletin board of all of them. People would send emails, we'd print the emails out and put them up, because it did remind us in really those incredibly scary, dark days that our community was going to help us get through this. And it was really transformative. And one person wrote on one of her postcards, "You've reminded me how sad it is to be without you," or "You've reminded me how hard it is to be without you." And I ended up using that in fundraising appeals because it was just so beautiful and so true. But it is like what Sal says. It is that, like, we weren't just a place they bought a ticket.
Yeah.
Well, I know a lot of people said to me also that we didn't realize what we had here until it wasn't available, until we couldn't just go online and see what was showing, what was playing at there or at the New Bank of New Hampshire stage, because that had barely opened and was just starting to move along.
It really just started,
and, my neighbor Byron was going down there to practically everything. But people suddenly realized that, oh my God, what if it doesn't come back? What's going to happen? And last week, a lot of people said to me, I've never been in here. This is so wonderful. And I told them, well, go on the website and see. You may be surprised at some of the things coming that might appeal to you. And that you might like to check out, and certainly. And on that screen, I attended a few of the operas.
Yes.
And you almost feel like it's three-dimensional.
Yeah,
it's so,
it's really stunning.
There's a depth to it, and the sound, and those seats are wonderful.
Yeah.
Those seats are really very, very comfortable. But it's wonderful. Now, when do you start to look toward next season? When does that?
What a perfect question.
Yeah. Cherie Owens and I have been programming next season for the better part of the last 3 months. And actually, one of the things we were discussing today pretty deeply was getting the brochure ready for the fall. So we're like 95% of the way for our fall done, and then 40% done for the spring, and then you start to fill in spring as the fall brochure comes out and stuff. So it's that balancing act of all those things. But generally speaking, performing arts centers are usually about 6 to 12 months out in the planning phase of where you see them.
Yeah. So if you're on our mailing list, you'll get a brorohure in the middle of May and middle to end of May. We'll go on sale that week of Memorial Day. We always, again, I'm thrilled that it's back. For years, we've had a big barbecue open house where we put everything on sale, and that'll be June 1st. At the Bank of New Hampshire stage. So the barbecue is back.
Oh, nice.
I'm thrilled. It's one of my favorite nights of the year. It's so much fun. So we're ready. But I think, the big thing that I've seen in the 17 years that I've been there is we used to sort of program the season. Okay, here's the season. And the way shows are booked has changed so dramatically that we're just adding them. So definitely make sure you get our emails, because we are adding new things every week.
Constantly.
Wonderful. Oh, that's great. That's great. Now, when you're making decisions on what to get, I mean, part of it, I know you have to look at if someone's touring in the area, and perhaps you can get them at a stop while they're in the, New Hampshire area or New Hampshire and Massachusetts. But you also look at past successes and what worked and what didn't, and you listen to get any input from patrons as to what they would like to see, and then look into whether or not it might.
Yeah, in that gumbo of all that stuff that creates your season, there's all kinds of factors that you have to throw in. There's the things that you want. You want the name on the marquee for a couple times a year that, is all of the things that helps elevate the organization. Then there's things that have community outreach components to them, and there's things that serve a greater purpose than us just presenting art. It's those community engagement components. Then you look at things like who's available, can we afford this artist? There's so many components that go into it. But I always listen to. I tell people all the time, just if you've got somebody in mind that you'd like to see here, send it along.
We do really listen to those suggestions. Yeah.
Okay,
We send it through the gauntlet of all of those kind of factors, and if it hashes out at the bottom, we'll give it a shot.
nice.
And we're good in the staff, I think, at bouncing these ideas off of each other and being realistic about it. It's one of the things when you work at a theater, it'd be very easy to be like, oh my gosh, I love that performer, book that performer. But you can't, that performer may sell 200 tickets. So
Right,
you gotta,
exactly. You have to
really
look at-
weigh,
exactly.
and you learn pretty quickly, like your personal tastes really don't matter,
No,
and we were discussing 2 artists the other day, and one of whom I love, but the end of the story was the other one was going to sell more tickets. That was the bottom line.
Yeah,
So.
there has to be. Yes, absolutely. So, the rental of the place is a wonderful experience. I have to say that having rented both places for fundraising events and other things, there is a certain cachet about doing it at the Capitol Center for the Arts or the Bank of New Hampshire stage, because you are then put in the hands of the most experienced and amazing people who hang on your every word when you're telling them what you want or what you're envisioning. And to viewers, if you're thinking of doing something locally, those are 2 venues that you should have high on your list as far as the expertise of, and then the finished product. It just ends up being something that you can really be proud of if you have to go to a board or somebody like that and say, our event was successful and this is, how it happened. But it's wonderful the ease with which one is able to lease the spaces when there is an availability. So.
Yeah. And we're redeveloping our website, so it's going to actually become even easier. But the point that you speak to there is customer service.
Yes.
And customer service matters even B2B customer service. So I think in all facets of everything we try to do, as much as possible, try to make your patrons or your customers happy. And if we can provide excellent service in an excellent environment and do it with local staff, with a local organization, what more can you ask for?
Exactly. Right. Absolutely. Now, as a musician, are we ever going to see you on one of those stages?
Funny you ask. We're actually, one of the things I've kind of voluntold my staff that we're doing is that on June 10th, we're doing, it's all the staff, the board members and family members and friends. We're doing essentially a jam session over at the Bank of New Hampshire stage.
Ooh.
Yes. So it's kind of like the staff and other talent show sort of thing. Cherie, who is a fantastic singer.
Yeah.
Really?
But you know Cherie.
Oh, of course.
She played Judy.
Judy.
Yes.
When you were Ethel Merman.
Yes.
Yes.
Katie sings as well, I hear.
Yes. Yes, she does a very good job. She does.
So so we've got a couple of singers.
How
and
exciting.
We've got
The chair of our board is a drummer.
And we've got some bass players and keyboard players. I'll send everybody a couple of song selections and then have a couple of drinks and have fun with it.
Oh, how great.
Yeah.
What a wonderful. Good.
It's fun to be on the making art side of things every now and then, too. So,
make fun, right?
That's right.
And what better team building exercise for a bunch of musicians and actors than just get on stage and have some fun with it?
Absolutely. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Oh, that's exciting. Oh, good. And when is the next fundraising cycle? Is there, I know it's an ongoing.
Sure.
You're always accepting donations,
always,
but is there a formal?
Sure. So our fiscal year is a little off. It runs from August 1st to July 31st. So right now I'm really focused on meeting our goals for July 31st, getting to the wire, and then our corporate sponsorship appeals really kick up now for next season. So this is the time of year where I'm have one foot in one year and one foot in the next. But that's how the cycle usually works. But when you're a member at the Capitol Center, your membership is good for 1 year from whenever you join. So it doesn't align, with our fiscal year. It aligns with you.
And we are going to show the website address, and people can go on the site to find out how to become a member.
Absolutely. Yep.
And what are some of the benefits of membership?
So the biggest benefit is that at every show we save the 400 best seats in the house for our members. So if you're a member, and you log in on the website, it recognizes you as a member. You have access to those seats. If you log in and you're not a member, it's going to look like all the seats are sold. You can't buy them. We also offer what we call ticket insurance, which is if something comes up, you can't come to a show. As long as we know within 24 hours, you get credit for the value of the tickets to use towards future purchases or future donations or whatnot. And so that's that can be very valuable, especially right now where things still are a little uncertain.
In flux,
people want that that insurance that if their plans change, that they can recoup that value. And then the benefits scale up depending on your level. There's some comp tickets at certain levels. There's some special events at certain levels. There's coupons to the concession stand. We've got some new benefits we're going to unveil next season, which are exciting. So it's, but we try to take very good care of our members. They take good care of us, so we try to take good care of them.
Wonderful. Are there any plans for the future for the venues that you can share now that you sort of envision as something you'd really like to aim for in the next couple of years?
We need a whole other episode for that
Right,
one. But I would say one of the things that I really want to do is in some ways actually break down the walls of the venues and present out more into the community too. So we're going to be more entrenched with what's going on with the Multicultural Festival. We'll be doing some street concerts, market days. We're doing something with a nationally touring band called Vertical Horizon that we're doing a show with. Just more things like that out into the community as much as possible, because we want CCA, we want to think of ourselves as content providers for the community as much as we can.
Right. So you're not limiting yourself to just the venue being where the event takes place.
Yeah.
And people have to go there if they want to experience the whole thing. Oh, that's great.
We're going to get creative and do some cool things.
Oh,
so.
that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Oh, I'm excited. That's very
Me
exciting.
too.
It is.
And I have been told the other day by someone that I have to become a member. We will not mention his name, but I was told, why aren't we members? So
Thank you.
Yes, you'll be hearing from me.
Okay.
But I want to thank both of you. I mean, you're both extraordinary, and your energy
Thank you.
in
Thank you.
here is terrific.
Well,
And
thank you
It's our pleasure.
all you do to promote everything we have going on. You're a great source of PR for us.
Well,
Thank
after
you.
living in Concord for 6 years, I love the city. I've seen it go through so many, from years ago when it was a very active downtown, and then the falling down and things changing and all of that, and then it did become pretty deadbeat for a while. But certainly the two venues you're associated with have contributed invaluably to giving our community and the surrounding areas some wonderful options for, something truly for everyone. So I'm very excited about what the future holds. And I want to thank you, Sal, and I welcome you to Concord.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
We will welcome you back here again. And Katie,
always a pleasure.
and your friendship is something I treasure.
Oh,
and
likewise.
I'm very fortunate to have you in my life. So
Likewise.
Thank you both. And please check out the Capitol Center for the Arts and the Bank of New Hampshire Stage website and find out the wonderful things that are going on, not just in those venues, but soon to be in outside venues and situations also. So thank you again. Thank you, Matt, behind the scenes here. Thank you, Concord TV. And thank you all who take the time to email me or call me or something else to say you enjoy the program. We'll be back again soon with another edition of Capital Area Chats. I'm your host, Paul Brogan, saying thank you.